Welcome, learners, to another deep dive. For many, the SAT can feel like this formidable, even mysterious challenge, kind of a black box of unpredictable questions. But what if there was a master key, maybe a blueprint, directly from the source, that could unlock its secrets?
That's precisely our mission today. We've gone straight to the official SAT study guide, delving into an entire chapter to extract not just what the test covers, but, how it's designed to be approached,
Yeah.
and maybe some unexpected strategies that can turn confusion into confidence. Think of it as your expedited tour through the mind of the test makers.
Right. So if you're navigating the SAT prep journey or maybe just intensely curious about the architecture of a major standardized exam, get ready. We're going to distill every essential skill, crucial strategy, common question type, and official tip, all designed to help you decode the SAT, making its logic feel less like a puzzle and, well, more like a clear path. All right, let's pull back the curtain then. The official SAT study guide isn't just a collection of practice questions. It truly provides a comprehensive blueprint. It emphasizes that this isn't simply about memorizing facts, but about a deeper understanding of the logic and structure that underpins every single question. Does the guide reveal a core philosophy behind the exam's design?
It absolutely does. What's fascinating here is that the guide emphasizes a core philosophy. The SAT is designed to assess skills crucial for college and career readiness, skills you've actually been developing for years. It's not about obscure trivia. The guide pinpoints these overarching abilities like strong reading comprehension, the critical ability to analyze evidence, precise critical thinking, and effective problem solving. This raises an important question for students. How do these broad, seemingly academic skills translate into concrete, testable strategies? The guide really wants you to see those connections.
That emphasis on versatile, real-world skills is intriguing. Before we dive into the specific sections, does the guide highlight any, let's say, fundamental skills or strategies that test takers often overlook, but which, once mastered, provide an advantage across all parts of the test?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beyond the obvious ones, the chapter clearly outlines skills like command of evidence.
hmm
And this isn't just for the reading section. It's about being able to support your answer with textual proof, whether it's pinpointing lines in a passage or identifying the steps in a math problem that justify your solution. It's about showing your work, conceptually speaking. Then there's analysis in history, social studies, and science contexts, which isn't just about knowing facts, but interpreting data, graphs, charts, arguments within those subjects. And when we connect this to overarching strategies, the guide heavily stresses time management. And here's where it often goes wrong for students.
Oh yeah, time management is huge.
Exactly. Students focus solely on getting the right answer, but the guide subtly nudges you to also manage the pace. You need to know how to move efficiently, recognizing when to maybe cut bait on a really tough question. It also encourages a systematic approach to reading passages, not just scanning, and crucially, truly understanding question types, knowing precisely what kind of answer each question is looking for before you even look at the choices.
So it's less about raw knowledge and maybe more about a strategic approach to the test itself. Given that, does the guide offer any counterintuitive advice on tackling those really tough questions? Or for managing your time across the entire exam?
It does. While process of elimination for multiple choice questions sounds obvious, right? The guide subtly reveals its true power isn't just about finding the right answer. It's about efficiently identifying why distractors are wrong. Often, disproving three options is actually faster and more reliable than trying to prove one correct answer directly. This saves precious seconds. And for every single question, the guide emphasizes reading it carefully, understanding exactly what's being asked. A single word in the question can completely change its meaning or the scope of the answer required. Don't just skim, digest it.
That focus on disproving wrong answers, that's a brilliant mental shift. Now let's transition to the reading test. This section can feel like an absolute marathon, especially with all those dense passages. How does the official guide prepare us for the sheer diversity of texts and questions we'll encounter? And how does it suggest we adapt?
Right. The guide details several passage types, and each is designed to test different facets of your comprehension. It requires you to be a bit of a reading chameleon. You'll encounter literature excerpts, classic or contemporary fiction, where you're grappling with character, plot, maybe theme. Then there are historical documents, which could be foundational U.S. texts or speeches. These test your ability to understand rhetoric and historical context, a different skill set. You'll also see passages from the social sciences and the natural sciences, often featuring data interpretation from graphs or charts. So this diversity really demands adaptable reading skills. You're constantly shifting gears. As for question types, you'll see everything from main idea to specific details, vocabulary, and context, and this is key, where you determine a word's meaning based on that specific passage's usage, not just its general dictionary definition. Then there are inference questions and the distinctive command of evidence pairs, where one question asks for an answer, and the next asks you to select the best textual evidence to support that previous answer.
Okay, those evidence pairs sound tricky, but maybe useful.
They can actually be a huge advantage if you know how to leverage them strategically. We can maybe touch on that.
So it's about being nimble. What are the key strategies the guide offers for mastering these varied reading questions, especially when faced with passages you might not be familiar with?
Well, the guide strongly advocates for active reading. This isn't just passively scanning words. It's about engaging with the text, identifying the author's main argument, outlining their supporting evidence, understanding their purpose and tone. Are they persuading, informing, debating? Official tips suggest reading the passage strategically first. Now, some test takers find success skimming the questions first to know what to look for, while others prefer reading the passage deeply for full context. The guide actually encourages you to experiment to find your personal sweet spot, what works best for you. Other vital tips include actively underlining keywords, maybe circling names or dates, and definitely using the line numbers provided in evidence question to pinpoint exact locations quickly. That simple act of engaging physically with the text can make a huge difference.
That makes sense. It's like turning the passive act of reading into an active investigation. Okay, let's move to the writing and language test. This section is often mistakenly seen as just a grammar quiz. What skills are truly being assessed here beyond knowing, your nouns and verbs?
You're right, it's far more than just grammar. This section tests two main areas: standard English conventions and expression of ideas. Under conventions, yes, it's your mastery of grammar and punctuation rules. This means questions on proper punctuation, commas, semicolons, dashes, fundamental grammar like subject-verb agreement, pronoun agreement, parallelism. Parallelism is making sure similar ideas are presented in similar grammatical forms, like to run, to jump, and to skip, not running, to jump, and skipping, right? And effective usage, like clear modifier placement, ensuring your descriptive phrases clearly modify the intended noun, avoiding those awkward sentences.
Like the classic, running quickly, the bus was missed.
Exactly. Sounds like the bus is running. For expression of ideas, it's about making passages more effective and coherent. This tests your ability in areas like development, knowing when to add or delete info to strengthen an argument organization, improving sentence or paragraph order, logical flow, using effective transitions, and choosing the most concise or precise language. It's essentially testing your editorial judgment.
So it's about clarity, conciseness, and coherence, acting as a mini editor for a piece of writing. What are the specific question types and strategies to tackle them effectively, ensuring you're not just fixing errors, but improving the writing overall?
You'll encounter a variety: combining sentences efficiently, choosing the best transitional phrase, correcting faulty parallelism, or selecting the most logical placement for a sentence within a paragraph. And the official strategy for this section is paramount. Always read the entire passage, not just the highlighted sentence or the sentence before and after. Understanding the context of surrounding sentences and paragraphs is critical for making the best choice, especially for those expression of ideas questions. If you just focus on one sentence, you might miss how it connects, or maybe doesn't connect, to the paragraph's main point. A recurring tip from the guide is to prioritize conciseness and avoid redundancy. The SAT writing section often favors the shortest, clearest, most direct way to express an idea, provided it's grammatically correct and maintains the original meaning.
That focus on context is vital. Okay, shifting gears again. For many, the math test can be quite daunting, especially with the different sections and those calculator rules. How does the official guide demystify the content and question formats? What's its overall approach to preparing you for this challenge?
Yeah, the math section can feel like a lot. The chapter breaks it down into 4 main content areas, which really helps organize your study. First, heart of algebra. This focuses on linear equations, inequalities, functions, systems. For these, the guide emphasizes quickly isolating variables because that's often the core skill being tested. Second, problem solving and data analysis. This covers ratios, percentages, statistics, probability, and critically interpreting data from graphs and tables. Translating real-world scenarios into math is key here. Third, passport to advanced math. This delves into more complex equations, nonlinear functions, polynomials, and even some basic trigonometry. And finally, additional topics in math, which includes geometry, complex numbers, lines, angles, things like that. Format-wise, you'll face both multiple choice questions and student-produced responses, the grid ends, where you actually write in your answer. And a significant structural point is the division into a no calculator section and a calculator section, testing both your mental math agility and your efficient tool use.
That's a lot of ground, definitely. And the calculator split adds another layer. What strategies and official tips does the guide offer to navigate these math challenges effectively? Bridging that gap between speed and accuracy seems crucial here.
It really is. Key strategies include understanding core formulas. The guide provides a reference sheet, but knowing when and how to use it effectively is crucial. You don't want to waste time searching. It also stresses knowing how to break down complex word problems into solvable parts. Often, the difficulty isn't the math itself, but interpreting the problem's language. Another smart tip. For multiple choice questions, try using the answer choices to work backward if you're stuck. Sometimes plugging them in can lead you to the solution faster than algebraic solving. For the calculator section, efficient calculator use is key, but don't over-rely on it. Sometimes mental math or estimation is actually quicker. The guide also advises against spending too much time on a single difficult question if you're truly stuck. Mark it, move on, and return if you have time. Every question is worth the same point. And practicing with various types of graphs, charts, and tables for data interpretation is also super crucial, as these appear frequently. It really boils down to, how do you balance speed with accuracy in a timed math section? The guide implicitly answers that through consistent targeted practice.
Knowing when to pause and when to push forward.
It sounds like practice really is the ultimate equalizer there. We've covered the sections, but the official guide emphasizes more than just content, right? It also talks about how to practice effectively. What does it recommend for truly learning from your mistakes and turning practice into real improvement?
That's a great point. The chapter strongly stresses the importance of using official practice tests. These are the most accurate reflection of the real exam. They aren't just generic tests. They're developed by the same people who make the actual SAT, so their structure, question types, difficulty level. It's all a precise representation. And here's the crucial aha moment the guide highlights. It encourages test takers to not just take the tests under time conditions, but to review their answers thoroughly afterward, especially focusing on why they got questions wrong, not just that they got them wrong. This self-analysis is critical for identifying recurring weaknesses, whether it's a specific math concept, a type of reading question, or a grammar rule, and then targeting those areas for further study. It's really about quality of review over sheer quantity of tests taken.
So it's not just about doing, it's about learning from the doing. That makes a lot of sense. Any final practical advice from the guide for test day itself? Or maybe general prep habits that our listeners should keep in mind as they approach the big day?
Absolutely. Beyond the academic content, the guide covers crucial pacing strategies for the entire test. It emphasizes that there's no penalty for guessing, so it's always better to attempt every question, even if you have to make an educated guess. Never leave a multiple choice question blank. Bubble something in. It also offers solid advice on managing test day anxiety, which can be a real factor for many people. Tips include getting sufficient sleep the night before, easier said than done, I know, but important, eating a healthy breakfast, and arriving at the test center early and prepared. Less rushing means less stress. Ensuring you're well rested helps maintain focus throughout the long test, which is honestly a significant mental endurance challenge. Physical and mental preparation really go hand in hand to turn knowledge into performance on the day.
And there you have it. A comprehensive deep dive into an entire chapter of the official SAT study guide. We've pulled back the curtain on its blueprint, covering everything from core skills and overarching strategies to the specifics of each test section, reading, writing, and language and math, along with essential practice and test day tips.
We've really tried to bring you all the critical information, stripped down to its most impactful components, helping you grasp not just what to study, but how to approach this significant exam with a clearer strategic mindset. Hopefully you found some aha moments that clarify your path forward, giving you maybe a distinct advantage.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means you now have a roadmap to navigate the SAT. This deep dive should empower you to look at any SAT prep material with a clearer understanding of its purpose and how to leverage it best. We really encourage you to take these insights and apply them to your own test preparation, transforming your study sessions from mere memorization to, well, strategic mastery.
And for those of you on your SAT journey, remember that understanding the test's structure and the specific skills it assesses is truly the first half of the battle. The other half is consistent, smart practice, fueled by self-analysis and targeted effort, turning those insights into tangible progress. That's the key.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this has given you a powerful shortcut to being well-informed for your SAT journey. We look forward to diving into more fascinating topics with you next time.